Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Taking Up Space, a Michelle A. Mayer podcast. Always excited about coming forward, y'all. Today's no different. Today, I'm going to be speaking to something that I was going to say for my spiritual nightcap tonight, but it's been on my spirit so much, I'm going to use it today as the conversation piece for the podcast. Excuse me. Thank you, Miss Dr. Shea, for the likes. Thank you. I'm going to be speaking out of the book of Isaiah today, y'all. Isaiah chapter 65 has been on my spirit, and I'm going to speak to that today. Chapter 65, verse 24 is really where I'm going to go, where I'm going to begin. And, last night it just occurred to me about this verse. I've been hot on the heels of my podcast episode and my Mother's Day service that I did on the fallen and Semyaza and Azazel and why. Oh, I forgot. Hold on. Let me do this right now. Okay. And why they would risk everything. High-ranking positions in God's eternal kingdom to come and partake of the goodness of all that the woman, the earthly woman, had to offer. But I don't want to keep going on that because God is not done with me evaluating that scenario. That's a multifaceted scenario that I really haven't even really unpacked the way that I should. But as with everything else, it will flower out in its due season. But today I want to speak to, the seasons of life where we go through things and we wonder, where is God? We wonder, do we need to micromanage the prayers that we lay at the feet of God? Do we need to constantly remind God that we prayed to God about that thing and that we really need some assistance with it? And in the hopes that God will act quickly or quicker in resolving it. And I'm here to tell you that you do not need to do that, friend. How do I know that? The book of Isaiah, chapter 65, verse 24 reads, "And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear." God has said it very clear and point blank here that God knows everything that goes on in this realm, friend. The direction your life has taken is not a surprise to God. They were all variables put into the equation of your existence before you were even created. They were all potentials that you could have possibly pondered, that you picked from the plethora of and enacted upon that journey down that particular road. But in order for you to enact upon such a journey and to go down that particular road, it had to have been established for you to do so before you were created, or else the road would not have presented itself. There are no happenstances in life. And as you mature in life and you grow within your knowing, you will come to the realization of this. It will show itself to you, and it will be very clear to you that none of the things that you thought that you defaulted into have you ever defaulted into. There is no default. The only default that there is the default settings in which you were established with. That's it. I spoke to earlier of on my Hey Friend episode of the sun, and how the sun is this monumental ball of energy, fire. High levels of heat is what makes up the sun. But the sun is reflective of another sun. It's as if the other sun is emanating such a high beam of light that, or let's just say not even a high beam of light, that other sun is emanating a light that when that light is put upon a magnifying glass. Remember when you were a kid and you got the little magnifying glass and you put that magnifying glass against the ray of sun and you burnt a leaf or something, and how it would just wither the leaf and burn it, and smoke would come from the magnification of that gentle light? It is the same thing, the same type of analogy that you could use for what gives the sun its power. It's magnified. The light source that emanates from something else. And that magnification being so consistent holds the sun to a certain level of regard, a certain level of heat that it must emanate. It emanates a certain level of heat that it powers the entire creation. Yet that heat holds it to its most important component, is purity. Nothing but pureness comes from that source of energy. Why? Because of the high level of heat that makes it what it is. And this solar energy is soul energy. It is the same type of energy that the sun, the soul component that lives within us, derives from. High levels of heat. So high that it's pure. It is our purest essence. And when we transition out of this life, some say that we re-enter into this light force, this high level of heat. And upon re-entry, all that is not pure, all that is not naturally ours, is burned away, keeping the integrity of that source intact. When we speak to the book of Isaiah in chapter 65 and how God has conveyed in blatant terms that he sees all that goes on in this life, it's a fresh reminder to us that we do not need to micromanage our petitions that we lay before God's feet. That in the purity of who we are, the purest aspect of us, when we cry out to God, God hears that pure cry. It seems as if God only hears the pure cries. Well, let's just say God only acts upon the pure cries. He hears all. I want to stop and pause and give JD some attention because, we're living in a time right now where there are people that are struggling with the impurities that they have allowed to latch on to them in their lives. They sense the differences between their pure self that they once knew themselves to be and this aspect of self that they have come to know by way of adopting all of the philosophies and all the mindsets and all the experiences of their lives. And JD, I'm going to speak to this. I have a healing word for you, friend. And it is these people that come on like you did when you came on here, and you want to say, I'll listen to whatever you say as long as you accept that a woman's place in life is serving a man. And, I'm not going to argue with you on that. But I will say that a woman's place in life is to be serving to everyone. She's a servant, a savant. Yet so are you. We're all servants, friend. One not greater than the other. But that this is why I come on and I lead with all of these experiences and testimonies, and I lend these different philosophies, because that statement you said, it's just another way of you crying out in your wilderness space, saying that you need a hug. You need to feel seen. Even if you really don't care if I believe that a woman's place is in serving a man, maybe you put that out there just to distract me, maybe to see if I'd be distracted because you're working with a larger ideology. Or maybe you just needed to feel like you were seen and you came and you did something valuable with your life today. I want you to know that God loves you. I want you to know, friend, that your creation is bigger than giving one-liners or looking to distract people. I want you to know that your life can change just by you changing your mind. You hold the power. All you got to do is change your mind. All you've got to do is see yourself worthy for whatever it is that you truly desire. And the wheels will begin to move in creating that for you. And in that level of self-worth, you rise to the occasion of standing in your truth, and you begin to hold your own self accountable. And in that accountability, you will feel it as if it is less than you. You will see it as a dishonor to yourself by coming and doing anything that is not worthy of that mental space in which you exist by standing in truth. And that's my word for you. But if you hang out a little longer, I'm going to get to some remedies. Because these little nuances, all these little distractions that people premeditatively do to try to distract other people, are cries in the wilderness because they've been turned. Instead of you looking to distract other people, you could look to lead people in the right direction. But because you're struggling with something potentially, or I'm not going to say you, but people struggle with things potentially. Their output is jaded and they do things that don't serve them or humanity. When the Bible says, "And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear." This is so refreshing to all of us that do petition God to assist us in our walk. All of us that know we can't do it alone. How do we know? Because we've tried it. We've tried to do it ourselves. We've hit the thing at every angle with all of our wherewithal, with all of our energy, with all of our attention. And we've gotten nowhere, but we've gotten experiences that have not panned out in the way that we would have liked them. So we can go before God and say, "Father, I've tried everything I can. I've done my part." You can't say that I sat around and I waited for you to magically send me the solution. I went about it methodically and I looked to do all that I can do to overcome this situation, and I have not been able to overcome it. I need you to step in, and I need you to assist me in this. And it's such a refreshing thing to know that before you even said that, while you were even forming the thought to create the prayer, friend, God heard you. That is what Scripture is conveying. Scripture is conveying before you even, he says, "And it shall come to pass that before they call," before you even came to the idea of saying, "Okay, I need to ask God for some assistance," God knew about it. And not only that, that at that time in which you created that, formulated that call, God was right there with you, as if God is sitting right next to you in real time, friend. It's not as if God is waiting on you to finish your sentence and click send and then he hears it. God is sitting right with you in real time, seeing all things, hearing all things, feeling all things, experiencing all things with you. And the enemies know this. Let's use this as an example. I spoke to Semyaza and Azazel in my Sunday service, and how Semyaza formulated this idea to go against God and to lead his peers to doing so also. But they were all educated, intelligent beings. They were able to stand in free will and make conscientious decisions, whether good or bad. They're able to own their decisions. And they show that they will own their decisions by binding one another to all of these different constraints. But then Azazel takes it a step further. After the decision has been made, he begins to lay out the groundwork to make this world comforting to him. And in him doing so, he corrupts the innocent. And in this is the greatest sin of them all, is the corruption of the purity. Like I was saying to the guy that has come on here, he's corrupted the purity of people. He's given people another way of thinking that was not conducive to their original way. And it has convoluted and confused the innocent for selfish gain. Yeah. And this is the greatest sin of all. Yet, God built within the children a clause, a masterful clause. And this clause is that you can always call on me and I'm going to come. If things ever get out of hand, friend, there's something within you that you can tap into in real time that will alarm me to your situation, and I will send you assistance. There is something in you that if you're ever led astray, taken advantage of, caught off guard, you can ring the alarm in the spiritual realm, and I will meet you wherever you are in real time. And that is exactly what the children do. When these fallen began mating with the women, they created giants, and the giants began eating people. And it was chaotic on this planet. Many innocent, precious, righteous souls were being attacked. And what did they do? They cried out to God. This is important, y'all. Because your cry is your way of saying, I do not agree with this. We are all sovereign beings. We all have free will. That is one of the greatest gifts of being born into this life. Many of us have given up our free will. Many of us don't even realize we have it because we've been dealing with the program of these matrices that have been imposed upon us by those that have come before us for so long. We don't even know if we have free will or not. We just sheep. Following, generational followers. But those that know, they say, this doesn't sit right with the inner truth of me. My soul, that fire, that pure fire that I spoke to, does not sit well with this. I have no one to go to in the world to assist me. I must cry out to my Creator. I must allow my soul, this fire, to send a signal forward, a distress signal in the night, calling upon all of those that can assist me. And that's what the children would do. And in them doing that, God would immediately put an end to all that those fallen ones had done. It will be the children's cry that will shorten their span or their reign, their open reign, their open rebellion. And they would learn this. They would be able to reverse engineer what shortened it. How did they get caught so quickly? Or how did they get caught in general? Because we don't know how long it was that they were feeling the success of it. And so they learned that it is the children's cry that holds God accountable to moving on their behalf. And it doesn't have to be a worldwide cry. It could just be the cry of those that are righteous. 98% of the children could be unrighteous and living under the false guise of these fallen. But the other 2% are righteous. And if one or two or however many of them cry out, God honors it. God says this. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear. We see this with Gideon. These people were siphoning, stealing from Israel, taking complete advantage of them. Just complete advantage. And what happens? God sends an angel. Why? Because the children were crying out. And God finds a regular guy, a hustler. A guy in there hustling, hiding while he hustles. A man that doesn't even see himself worthy. He thinks it's a joke to come and assist the children. Hezekiah. Generations being extorted, born into a world of extortion where the Assyrians are just extorting Israel, stealing from them, strong-arming them, intimidating them, disrespecting them, disregarding them. And the children cry. Hezekiah cries out as king. Friend, how many times do we see this? The moral of this podcast is to let you know that once you've rang the alarm, you don't have to continue to ring it. If you've already rang the alarm, friend, God heard that thing. But see, the thing with ringing the alarm is that it puts it on God's radar. God has the attention of it. He already knew it was going on, but he needed for you to rebuke it and then to welcome him in to move on your behalf because of it. But that does not mean that God is going to move overnight. But you must know the power of the ringing of the alarm. You must know that once you ring that alarm, you can't unring it. You have requested God to come and view your situation, to both hold you and the situation accountable, to investigate. And once God investigates, friend, God does not leave it alone until the case is resolved. Show me a time that he has. I can't see it anywhere in the Bible. I see it nowhere in the Apocrypha. I see nothing left undone as it relates to God and the children crying out. I've not ever seen it. And that is the power of your cry. That is the strength and the power of that which is within you. So no, you don't have to micromanage God on your petition. If you cried out to God, friend, you must know that God has seen you. And I'm sure you can trace the fact that God has seen you. There's something that has occurred that lets you know, okay, God's got his eyes on this. And it's for you to carry on with life, moving as you should in your alignment with God, and not micromanage and look to be God, but to play your role and do all the things that you need to do in order to stand within your role. This was my word for you today. It came to me last night when I was sitting, and I was going to have this as my spiritual nightcap for tonight. But I found it very interesting and a little too long for the nightcap, so I decided to use it as a talking point to you during this podcast episode. You've got to know your role. It's very important. And you've got to know that you're not here to please people. You're here to please God. When God puts something on your spirit, you've got to move on it. Even if people believe that you should be beyond it, or even if you feel like you should be beyond it as well, or even if you are beyond it. Friend, there are certain things that God puts on my spirit at times that I feel like I want to ignore them, and I ignore them and ignore them, but they just build, and that's when I know, okay, God, I got to speak to this. I got to release this. It's not that you're stuck on that topic and you have nothing else to discuss. If you're anything like me, one thing you never have a problem with is content. Friend, I got content for years. I could sell content. I could sell it. But it's not for sale. Who could deliver it the way that I could? Who do I know that has the experiences that I've had? They'd be fabricating a story to you. Yet there will be things that you will need to repeat or really zoom in on and double back to and zoom in on. Because Spirit needs you to do that. And it doesn't mean that you're living in the past or you're trying to relive things. It's that somebody in that audience, someone in your friend group, someone in your family, someone in your work environment, what have you, whatever your circle of influence is, needs it. This is your role. I'm a servant to you. I'm a humble servant to you. And I take off my feelings. I step outside of my feelings, because there are some people that, if I was in my feelings, I would say are undeserving of me being a servant to. My ego, my egotistical side would want to not bless them with my perspectives. Literally, I'm human. But my spiritual side, which overshadows everything, always keeps me in a perpetual state of humility, of service. I never get it twisted. And so I control myself. And I come forward. And I allow the truth to shine forward. This is my word for you today, y'all. God hears you. God heard you, friend. It's just that we're not on God's timeline. We don't get to direct what God does, because we don't have the ability to see the detail of what we ourselves are knee-deep within. When God came to Job and spoke to Job, after Job was so angry with God and said he wanted to have a conversation as to why God would let things happen to Job, why such things would befall Job. And even Job was being even accusatory of God. God said, since you think you know so much, tell me about your existence. Tell me about this beautiful system of things that I created. How did they come about? Tell me about your life. What is your life going to be? What is your story? Do you have the power to know all these things? Because if you do, we can sit and have a conversation, and I can take your advice potentially. But if you don't get to ask me anything. You don't get to accuse me of anything, because you don't have a full enough perspective on your own life to speak to me of the decisions that I make regarding you or any of my other creations. And the student agrees. The student immediately checks themselves and says, you know what? I apologize, Father. I'm just tired. I'm exhausted. Is there anything you can do to help me with this exhaustion? Because I don't want to let you down. I know I can do it, but I just need a break. I need a cool breeze, friend. Maybe a day, a year, and I can get back at it. Sometimes that's what it is. A lot of times that's what it is. A lot of times we just need a break. We need to hit the reset. We need to hop off of the treadmill of life and sit it out for a second. And then after we've sat it out for a second, we see life moving, and we say, you know what, I'm ready to get back in the race. I didn't even need a full day. I just needed 20 minutes. I'm ready to get back in. Isn't that how it is? That's how it is. God does not need you to remind him. If you've rang the alarm, friend, you best believe that you are constantly on God's mind. God constantly is paying attention to you. Constantly. The worst thing the enemy wants is for God to constantly pay attention to you. Why? Because he's got to move in a certain way regarding you. Why? Because he knows God is paying attention to you, friend. He knows. But when he feels as if God is not paying attention, he'll get at you any kind of way he can. Yet in order to get God's attention like that, friend, you've got to be aligned properly. You've got to do the work to command such things. And it's not hard work. It's peeling back the layers of the nonsense that you've adopted in your life to allow that soul energy, the purest aspect of you, to shine forward. And in doing so, it directs what you do. I'm telling you. It directs your behavior patterns. It goes back to the analogy I gave about the comment. Just certain things you won't find entertaining. Even if you get paid to do them, it won't be enough money in the world to do it. Because it'll decrease from you spiritually. And spirituality is the real currency, friend. It's the only power. This is my word for you today. You love more than you'll ever know. I'll never stop telling you. And I didn't want to, isolate anybody. The guy that made the comment about the woman, I know what spirit that was, and I just feel like Friend, you just need a hug. You just need a hug, and you need to know that you're loved, and that you're necessary, and that you're heard, and that your life matters. Yeah, your life matters. And when you change your thoughts, you change your life. That same boldness that you exhibited when focused the right way, nothing but good will come from it. Nothing but goodness, nothing but greatness will flower out from it. That's my word for you. Thanks, friend. I appreciate you. I'm going to hop off. I want you guys to have a beautiful day and be as blessed as you already are. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Peace and love.